Welcome to Your Time to Soar, the wisdom from pearls with Lois Leonard and Dr. Pat. What are the pearls? Have you ever heard from your parents or grandparents basic information like God never gives you more than you can handle, or this too shall pass? These pearls are some of the tools that will help dreams come to life. Your Time to Soar with the Wisdom and Pearls is a show that reminds or introduces us to the sayings from mentors that provide us wisdom when going to achieve our dreams. These gems provide a return to basics to simplify your life. If you're looking for a change in your life, stay tuned with us. Your Time to Soar starts now.
Wow, everybody. Wow, wow, wow. That's all I've got to say about the episode today, Lois, right?
It is a fun one. That's what I'm going to say.
It's a good one. I like that we made it fun. May I tell everybody what it is?
Absolutely.
Don't judge a book by its cover. In contemporary terms, don't judge a movie by the trailer. We've been down that road before. So let's talk about learning about the pages within the book, because how often have we seen a book? And by the way, from a marketing strategy, do I dare share this?
Yes, you do.
Publishers know, and they know if they have a book and the book turns out to be okay, they make that cover so appealing that you cannot not buy it. But what do we learn from that lesson, Lois? This is a giant pearl. This is like a giant oyster with a giant pearl.
Put the book back. Don't pick it up. It looks too good. I mean, I guess my grandparents used to say, if it looks really good, you better start asking a few questions, right? Like, I guess in some ways I kind of agree with them. I have friends who actually, when they have taken and gone to sell their house, they've taken out their own furniture and they've had some professional person stage it. And I think in my head, your house looked good the way it was, right? It's what's wrong with the house that you need something to dress it up,
Oh my
show up as
gosh.
you. It's why is it that we are so held on to what people look like or how they dress or what they're doing or what car they're driving and that. Most people I've found have lost themselves when they do that, including myself. I've done that. And I've woken up one day and gone, hold on a sec.
Oh,
Who am I? Who's that woman looking at me across in the mirror? So,
yeah, I'm having a bit of that. I want to tell you a funny story to really kick this off. It also works in the reverse. Now, I don't have a solution, but that's why you're here today, Lois. And this is your time to soar with Lois Leonard. I get to share this platform. I'm so honored to be here. So here's something. My favorite color is orange.
lovely.
I had an orange Rogue, and then they discontinued that orange, or I couldn't get it. So I got a black car. However, I love orange, right? So I play this sport, and this is how should I talk about this? It's kind of like every sport, but it's not football. When you look at somebody's football shoes, like the Seattle Seahawks, but they better have like these really cool Seahawk colors and this bright green, right? But when you play my sport, table tennis, it's more conservative. I have bright orange sneakers. So what is the impression people, right? Lois is like, go ahead.
I think
I
that's
have to go
excellent.
get them from the other room and show you. But what happens with that? I just love orange. I love these sneakers. They're uber comfortable. I got them very reasonably on a site that I go to. But what is the perception when I walk out with these orange shoes? So somebody said to me the other day,
Mhm.
I would have never thought that you play at the level you play. And I thought they were kind of like talking about my age or something. So, because I always get that, right? It's funny. And they said, I looked at them and I said, well, what were you looking at? And they said, your shoes. And I thought, wow, I'm going to keep wearing them because if you underestimate me and the way I play, because I wear really bright orange sneakers, I'm good for that. But the bottom line is that is a misconception. And so that those misconceptions and judges, they bounce both ways. Now, in my case, it gives me an advantage, but that is not always the case, is it?
No, I find that sometimes people are looked down on, depending how they show up. Um, I have seen, well, in a previous job that I had, there was a young lady who had beautiful green hair and she had tats. She had an absolute gorgeous sleeve. I've never seen artwork like that in my life on a wall, let alone somebody's arm. And it was gorgeous. And people were judging her, not because of what she said or the behaviors that she gave or anything like that. It's strictly on the fact that she loves the color green and she loves to wear it in her hair. And it looks good on her because, man, it brings out her eyes. But she also had tattoos. And I'm like, and this was before many people now wear sleeves or whole bodies. And I saw that while I was away. And I was like, I don't know how you could sit that long. That was my only thought, other than the fact that the artwork is very good and it's a choice that makes them happy. Why in the world would I want somebody, or why would I want to make somebody feel like my judgment or my thoughts or my opinions matters so much to them that they're not going to do the thing that they love? And yet we have that because people want to do things in their world and their families are like, no, you need to become the doctor.
Mm,
You need to become something that we consider appropriate, not a stereotype, not a, you can't make money at this. You can't do this. It's not respectable. I have, I really have a tough time. And as I said before we came on this show, it first was all about us judging others. That was my whole show. And then I sat there and went, hold on a sec, Lois. It isn't just about us judging others. That in itself, I hope people are strong enough to say, hey, you know what? My shoes, they're orange. They rock. They are the ones that make me feel really good when I play. I play my best game when I wear these shoes. That's what I want to hear. I love this color. When you told me your whole face lit up, that's like Christmas for me. Whereas I listen to other people when they talk about their lives and they're so judgmental about it because they're not where they're supposed to be. They're not doing this. They don't have that. And to me, it's, does this make you happier?
mm,
Or is this because it's for someone else? If it's for someone else, I really want you to stop judging you
yeah.
because you wouldn't do it to your best friend. In fact, you'd probably be telling your best friend, go out and do what you want, do what you love, because as somebody keeps telling me, I only got one shot at this, and I better be damn good at what I'm doing, or else it's not going to happen. So I really would love people to, that judge thing. It was interesting because I actually looked it up before we came on today. What was the meaning of judgment? And ironically enough, it's got two meanings. So the first one is the ability to make considered decisions or come to a sensible conclusion. That sounds pretty good. So, what would you say your judgment about wearing your orange shoes is, following that definition?
Well, I got to tell you, it's such a fascinating thing for me because I don't look at the world that way, right? I mean, I admire people. I was on a call this morning with a gentleman that I asked him where he got his skin art from,
Mhm.
right? So there are things though that I look at which will put me over the edge and, make a judgment about. But for me to get to where I am today, I've had so many people confront me with, why are you doing it? What are you doing? Do you even know what you're doing? Nobody's going to want positive talk. I mean, just so many things, especially early on, that if I had listened to those folks, you and I would not be talking. And so we can get bombarded with other people's judgments. And so, because that's happened to me so often, I'm more acutely aware of when I do it to other people. I'm not saying I'm totally judgmental because look, I ride a Harley Davidson. I'm telling you, when you get on that bike, you better have some judgment. You better be scanning, looking, evaluating. This is safe. This is not safe. But in the world we live in, that's not harmonious if we don't stop to understand what somebody's about. And boy, if you could just zip it up when they tell you and not comment about rearranging the house or not rearranging the house or what you're wearing. I mean, honestly, I don't know how people have time to do all that.
I think part of it is they were brought up that way.
Yeah.
They were taught stereotypes. They were taught, you know, if this is what you're doing, or this is what you look like, or this is what you're driving, this is who you are. You get a choice in life. You can either allow that to define you, or you can allow you to define you. And and I think we're all human.
Yeah.
There are certain things that probably we don't even realize we have a bias towards or against. And that when we see it, something comes out of our mouth and we're like, whoa, hold on a sec. Where'd that come from? Or we feel completely justified in what we've just
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
It doesn't make us bad people, but it
No.
does allow us a chance to be a little more aware that if we were doing something that someone else didn't like, whatever it is, or whatever they had, maybe it's not even like they didn't understand enough that they make a comment. And rather than ask a curious question to find out a little more
Mm-hmm.
and understand a little better,
Mm.
they actually, I don't know, that helps
Yeah.
them grow. It helps us grow because you see the look on somebody's face and you're like, yeah, I know what's coming next. And that's us judging them
Mm.
on judging us.
Yeah.
So if we
Yeah.
could leave it all sort of on the table and say, hey, why don't we just get to know one another? What
Mm-hmm.
is it about orange that, really lights you up?
Yeah.
That'd be
Right.
really cool to hear. Not why did you pick orange for your shoes? Because man,
Yeah.
we wear white or,
Yeah.
plain, nothing bright. Okay. So,
It's so interesting we're talking about this in the day and age we're living in now. My godchildren child and relatives are Latino. They are from what we're classifying as South American groups, right? Whatever that, I don't know what the heck that means,
I don't know what that
but
means.
they look different. And so automatically what they're feeling the brunt of right now here in the United States is because of the way I look, because of the food I eat, because of the language I'm speaking, right? I'm scared because I'm being judged and no one will get to know me. Now, that's a bold example, which we're not going to go into necessarily, but it is stereotypes. We have
Huge.
this version of stereotypes. And so sometimes they lead us to understanding and sometimes they don't. Now, let me ask you this question. There are judgments we make that disallow us from getting to know someone, even if there's a stereotype. But the flip side of that is you see somebody that's from a culture and a generation that's different from you. And what you can learn from that is a benefit. Can you walk us through that? Because right now we're in ageism, we're in racism, we're in the isms. I like to call them the isms of life. If somebody says to you, I'm a recovering alcoholic, right away you don't hear the word recovering, you hear a whole lot of other things, and your judgment goes to, I'm not hiring you. But walk us through the good, the bad, and the ugly about this, because judgment can play a very positive, pivotal role.
Well, I grew up and, I'm a strawberry redhead. So needless to say, strawberry blonde, pardon me. But, so, and my sister was a blonde. She's a lawyer. Okay, she's dang good at what she does too. Let me tell you,
I know where this is
and
going.
no, and for me, she says, I'm so tired. And to boot, she's shorter than I am. So she's this little girl who I'm telling you, I'm the youngest. Don't mess with her. Okay. Her height is nothing. The blonde, nothing. Like if you underestimate that, the rest of it could go horribly wrong. And I would rather say, hey, what got you into law? What did start a question with what, you know, or where did you come from? Or what is it you guys love to have for dinner? Or anything but a strange look on your face that goes, I don't get it, and I
Yeah,
don't want it. Because you may want it after you understand it.
yeah,
And it's the same thing that has created more pain and angst and misunderstandings is when we assume we know what's going on. We assume that we have all of the answers, and yet we've got none.
yeah,
And it's just ask a question that starts with what. What is probably the most powerful out of all the 5 choices you've got to use? So if you start with, first of all, what's your name? What area of the world did you come from? What holidays do you have? What food do you eat? What do you like to do? What places do you want to go? Every one of those started with a what, but it gets me more answers. And it gets me, somebody once said, the power that you actually have, you have so much of it, and we don't use, I'm going to say on a lot of days, half of it, because we follow into what I call followitis, which is, right behind isms of all of them, because, oh, let's just follow into which ism we want to go. But I invite people, don't do that. Actually stop for a moment and ask yourself, how would you want to be treated? What
yeah,
way would you want people to treat you and get to know you?
yeah,
And then reflect that back outward. Whether it's another person, an animal, a culture in itself, just because somebody looks like something doesn't mean they are.
yeah.
And you never know until you say, hey, my name's Lois. I really want to get to know you because you look really cool.
Yeah. That's why
And that's
you
a
are,
judgment in my head that's a good one,
it
but it's
is.
still, who knows? I might find out the guy, gal, person doesn't want to. And that's okay too.
It is because your question is unoffensive. Oh, that's not a word. You know what I mean? But
It
what
works.
I'm trying to say is, look, you're a life mastery consultant coach. You have a company called Time to Soar. And this is what you embody in what you do to work with people. Now, first of all, let's take a minute to make sure how people know how to get a hold of you, because this area right here is the most difficult to self-evaluate. Why? Because if you're in that judgment role, evaluating yourself or figuring out why something's working in your life and why something's not, it's near to impossible. So, as a life mastery consultant coach, tell people how they can get a hold of you and tell them about your website, about Time to Soar coaching.
Time to Soar Coaching has been around now for a few years. It had a different name before, but this absolutely embodies what I want to do for other people. I want to see you soar. I want to see you take to the skies and see what you can do, see where you
Yeah.
can go. There's so many places. You can email me at lois@timetosoarcoaching.ca. My website has plenty of information. And if you don't see, please use the contact sheet and reach out to me. I firmly believe that we have a saying in my business, and probably many of you have heard of it, about being in the frame. And that's when you're the one that says, I can't do this because, and you got this friend who goes, great portrait, we're getting rid of it because the frame sucks. You can do it. You do have the power. You've got power to become the person you want to.
Mm.
Don't let somebody say, I watched a show last night that I thought was really interesting where the person is behaving like he goes, I'm behaving like everybody else expects me to. And
Mm.
one of the lead characters in the show says, why? When you can do so much better.
Mm.
Don't live up to somebody else's low standards of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rise above them. Soar, hit the skies.
Mm-hmm.
Fly. That's what I aim to do with people because I know you can do it. We all
You know,
can. We just have to want to.
I love this because this level of inquiry gets you to know another person and you get to know yourself. I love that. You know, the longer story, and here's the punchline to it, is as we start to talk about the orange shoes, right?
Mhm.
We start talk about it. I was asked, what got you to go in that direction with the orange shoes? And I said, that's a great question. It's a simple answer. I said, I'm working with a coach. My weak spot is my footwork. That is my weak spot in my game. And my coach kept saying to me, I can't see your footwork because if you wear a white sneaker, it matches the floor. If you wear a different color, the bottom line is, and then when you videotape it, you can barely see it. And so I came in with bright orange one day so that my footwork can be looked at in a video recording and I'm not distracted by the rest of my movement. And, you know, and I said, you don't have to wear orange, but you need to wear a color, a bright color that's going to pop. So this guy comes in a week later with lime sneakers, you know, bright lime.
Love it.
And he said, you know, if we stand next to each other, we could be a fruit salad. And I said, I just like, and he said, I took your advice. He said, I videotape myself all the time, but I lose sight of my footwork because all the other movement. See, that's a little short conversation that started with a question, and I could have been offended by it. So let's talk about that in a couple of minutes we have left. We could either be offended by something or we could seek to understand better.
I honestly feel that I wake up in a day and I do not believe that there is another soul on the planet who intentionally wants to hurt me, which makes it really good. I may have the best eye roll going some mornings when I kind of go, really? Well, okay, this is the avenue we're going down. But I will invite saying, well, that's an interesting concept. I can't honestly think that's where I was going with my whole thought process. And, you know, sometimes if you don't believe the person is coming as an attack to you, or that maybe there's a part of you who doubts what you're doing, don't. Unless unless it's harming somebody else or yourself, continue doing what you love.
Yeah.
Continue being who you are and don't permit or don't even actually give it a second thought that
Yeah.
somebody out there wants to hurt you about it. Believe that you are supported because you are. There are so many people who are going, oh my God, I wish I was doing what you're doing. Not what you're doing, but the fact that you're doing what you love. And I don't want to wait until my kids are 20 and they're out of the house. I don't want to wait, until for those that are trying, that are starting a family or that. I don't want to wait for this. I've heard people say, I'm going to wait for the perfect time to have kids. And I looked at them and I said, well, there isn't one. When they show up is the perfect time because then you have them. And they
Yeah.
kind of looked at me and they went, but financially and that. And I go, stuff happens. Life happens. I would not stop something I love. And if that's having kids or if that's, getting that, I don't know, you want to be that best artist. You want to soar. Please either reach out to me and let me help you. Find those tools, find the belief in yourself because I know you can do it. And I honestly I think there are more people hurting in this planet because one of the things I've had is that the things we do is either an expression of love or a call for. And I so believe that if somebody is out there attacking you about your beliefs or whatever and not asking, questions about what? What was your reasoning? What are you thinking? What are you doing? Who are you? That kind of stuff. They're not asking those curious, investigative questions. So they want to know more about you. They're hurting.
Mm.
People don't attack without reason. And most of the time it is because they hurt. We don't understand that part of them, and it doesn't excuse it, but it gives us a little more leeway.
Yeah.
Give grace.
I love this show and I love what you talked about. And Lois, this is so seriously important. And I'll just say this thing to you. I was out in Everett the other day and I came out from a building and there were hundreds, if not thousands of people with signs. And I was so fascinated by them. And I started to walk. We had major protests this weekend, but I started to walk and the signs were different. And I stopped and I said, what does the sign mean to you? And they looked at me and they said, nobody's ever asked that. I said, I'm just struck by how different. And I said, none of these signs are about hate. They're about things that are important. What does this one sign mean to you? And the woman went on to explain it with a beautiful story about her child and her life. And then I kept walking and kept asking people with their signs, what does this sign mean to you?
Wow.
What a great experience. I wish I would have had more time. I didn't record them. I didn't need it. I really wanted to know there were people with messages that I've never seen before. And see if we could just do what you said. But it is a skill. And I highly encourage people to call you, because if we don't learn this skill, we'll end up breaking up our families, not being able to communicate at work, having judgment about a left, a right, an up or a down. And we will become so separated and separated from our life source energy. The pathway back, you cannot do alone. What do you want to leave us with today, Lois?
What I really want to leave everyone with is, I am so grateful that I've had this opportunity. This is a discussion that evolved. I found that with every one of my pearls so far, and that just before we have our conversations, I get examples that are so in the face. And I find this one tends to be one where you can look out about judgment on others and also the judgment on ourselves. And I really, really would like I'm just going to ask that people provide grace and seek to understand, not in a sarcastic way, not in an actual, I want to know, because at least it's that informed decision. You can decide whether the person is somebody that you can hang with or have a coffee with or really become best friends with, or might even be able to collaborate and help you with your dream. Or maybe they're not. Yeah. But you know what? Then it gives you that choice. But if you make one based on a pure assumption, it's not going to work well. So very grateful for this time with you, Dr. Pat, as always.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a conversation sort of like a few others that could probably go on forever. But for those that are interested in finding me, email me at lois@timetosoarcoaching.ca, or just drop onto my website and you can get in touch with me that way at timetosoarcoaching.ca. Again, have a lot of grace. Be kind to each other. And you know what? Get to know each other. I think that's one of the things we've stopped doing.
Yeah, I love it. So, Lois, everybody, I'm Dr. Pat. We'll see you next time.
You have been listening to Your Time to Soar, the Wisdom from Pearls. Tune in every second Tuesday of the month at 11:30 a.m. Pacific with Lois Leonard and Dr. Pat for more pearls that will help your dreams come to life. If life seems complicated, use the pearls for support. These gems are for you to enjoy and learn something new. Life is an experiment. Be curious and use the pearls daily and see the change in your life. Schedule a discovery session with Lois to discuss further by visiting timetosoarcoaching.ca.